I haven't really had any luck getting that thing to unseize, but I decided I'm going to try and put the motor on anyways onto the engine stand. So I've assembled my engine stand on the back side here. Hoping through a combination of tilting this thing and everything I can get that slide in there. What I can actually do is get the engine stand tilted up. Ow! Ow! Come on! Here's what I heard fall down before. Stainless steel bolt, a little short one. What that came out of. I'm going to put it back in there because I don't know if that's what you want. That's just great. This is a nightmare. I can't get this in far enough to get the locking pin in, so now when I start trying to lower it, the whole thing wants to tilt over. That's working, but it's ringing my ears. Ow. Alright, now I can get that locking pin in. I don't know where my handle is that goes in here, and I don't really care now. Oh, I do need something stronger than this to turn this. Bend the screwdriver. Bet you the jack handle fits in there. That's what the handle for this thing looked like anyways. Oh, not quite. Oh, you rat fink. I need something skinny enough to fit in there, but strong enough to give me leverage. Let's try this. Here. Oh, come on. There we go. So now the problem is that I've actually got the wheel sitting on top of the legs. I can't go out towards the welder far enough to clear it. It's a conundrum. What I'm thinking is maybe if I start to lower it down, take some slack. Actually, this is off, okay. That's going to fall. Alright, now I think if I just lower it down, I think it'll roll off the very end. Okay. So it's practically down on it. Problem is with this still being tilted up the way it is, not supposed to be, the center of gravity is a little bit too far back. It's moving. Hey! Maybe having all that yesterday, I was hitting it with the propane torch, getting it pretty hot. With the weight of it, but I couldn't really pry on it. I actually bent the cross pin. But now I guess with the weight of the motor helping me against the stand, that's it. I got as far as it goes. Ta-da! Supper's almost ready. I think I'll leave it on the. I think I'll leave it on the cherry picker hook just for the just for a bit till I'm satisfied that everything's stable. I don't need it to have it tight. I just want some slack taken out in case something goes pear-shaped while I'm upstairs. But I think this is doable. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up this whole area around here on the floor and get the cherry picker completely out of here. Supper's ready. All right, so way back when I got this boat, and I knew right off the bat that this, part of this problem was that the starter motor was missing. I started checking eBay for deals on a replacement starter, and I stumbled upon this one and ended up buying it. And I got a really good deal on this. This was advertised as new unused. I think that maybe it was installed maybe once, or I'm not positive. It's a little scratched up here and there, but it looks brand new. And also somebody wrote Ralph on the outside of the box here, so I don't know if they ordered it for Ralph and then ended up not using it, or maybe they put it into the motor and found out there was a lot more wrong with it and ended up scrapping it. But this, as you can see from this base that sits, this has got that base that sits in that cup, so it looks like it's the right one. But I figured, just for the hell of it, when I bench test it, it looks like there's just a positive connection here to go to the battery, and then you must use the case as the ground on the motor. So I got a battery, and I tried charging last night and didn't want to take a full charge. It's measuring 10 volts. Pretty pathetic right now, actually, but just for the heck of it. Let's see. No, of course not. That's not going to fit. All right, let's try this. So let's see if I ground the case to this terminal on the battery. I touch this, it should go. Oh. Please tell me that this is a battery that has just got a float charge of 10 volts on it that goes to 0 when I put this on there. Otherwise, I think I've got a junk starter that somebody hosed me on. Well, wait a minute. I've got my ohm meter right here. Oh yeah, no, it's not an open circuit. That should work. Oh, I hear it trying to do something. Boy, is that battery junk. Bet you that's going down to like 0 volts when I do that. Wow. This battery, this UB12350 battery, universal battery, I bought a pair of these a while back, I think, to use on, I actually upgraded my my kids' Power Wheel when they were Power Wheels. They had a little, had two of them actually. One was a Power Wheels Jeep, I think, and the other one was a another company fire truck. So batteries were junk, so I rewired them so they would handle these kind of batteries, and I bought these. These are wheelchair batteries. So these are actually they're not deep cycle. I mean, they're deep cycle. They're not high instantaneous current, but they should still take a charge. But this is a sealed lead acid battery, which is what you want to use in that kind of application. So if the thing flips over, the battery won't leak acid all over your kids. Well, the battery that I had charged, or thought I had charged, ended up being skunked, and the other battery I had laying here apparently also is garbage. So I'm charging another battery now, but it's not going to be ready. So during this lull in the action, I just vacked out all the garbage down in the lower cowling, and I'm going to take this all this stuff here I have on the bench and put it off to the side for safekeeping. But I figured before I did that, I'd remove this remnants of this tilt switch. Oh, of course, one screw comes out easy as pie, and the other screw is just a murderous, horrible thing. All right. Get this screw and put it back where it came out of. So unfortunately, this tilt switch is garbage. I don't think I'm going to be able to save it because the insulation, even if it works, the insulation is off of the wires right up to the point where they go into the potted material there. Grab some vice grips. And did it. I wonder how many people have been, over the years, have been fooled by this switch. Trying to start their motor on their boat while it was tilted and not getting any spark because this device right here, the tilt switch, basically the way it's supposed to work is when the motor tilts a certain amount, this switch closes, effectively grounding one of the connections on the distributor input side of the switch box, and in turn causing the ignition to shut down. So hopefully that's showing up in the meter. Over limit 0 ohms. And I think on these early ones like this one, I think it literally is mercury inside there. I think what you've got is you've got 2 pins down this end, and you've got a little cylinder that's got a little blob of mercury in there, and when you tilt it this way, the mercury blob runs down here. When you tilt it back this way, it runs down there and covers the 2 pins. If that's the case, and you're going to throw one of these out, you actually should treat this as hazardous waste. And I know a lot of guys will say, what's the big deal? So, well, mercury and lead are 2 of the metals that you do not want to fool around with by burying them in the ground or putting them into the regular trash where they could inadvertently end up being buried in the ground, because eventually they will leach into the water table, and mercury and lead are 2 of the metals that it only takes a very little bit of it to get into your system to really mess you up. Well, enough of my preaching. It's just thought something I thought needed to be said. You know what? I'm going to try and save this. Alright, so all I have to do to repair this is cut the wires off really close to where they go in here, and then I'll solder these strands of wire together, so I've got almost like two solid wire stubs sticking out here effectively. And to that, I'll tack on a new piece of wire onto each one, and then I'll run some heat shrink tubing over these connections so they can't short against each other here, and then put some new ring terminals on the other end, and voila. Now you might think that that's kind of silly to go through all that trouble. Well, not really, when you consider, that I haven't looked it up, but I doubt this is going to be a $3 or $4 part. It's like anything else from an outboard. It's going to be a lot more money than it's really worth. Alright, last time I was down here, I was having trouble getting a battery that could store a charge, so I could test the starter before I tried putting it in. Well, I think I finally found one that's got the oomph to do it. So I'm going to put the starter in so we can crank this thing over and do a compression test. Oh, just my rotten luck. Either this starter that I bought is the wrong model, or I'm missing some other parts here, because this has got this round base that looks like it's supposed to sit down in this cup. Well, the problem is way too much room in there, but I don't know whether or not there's supposed to be like a rubber mount or something that maybe this sits in, a shock mount. And then I got the same problem up here at the top. If I take this clamp off like so, you'll see that it's the same thing. This is swimming in here, so something's missing. And I mean, there was some stuff sitting in the boat, some hardware, so there might be like the missing bolt that goes here might be still hanging around there or something. But as far as if there's a rubber mount that's supposed to be on this starter, I got a bad feeling that that's gone. Probably went with the old starter when they took it out. Well, I guess the first thing I got to do is I got to go consult consult the parts diagram and see if I can see what the heck is supposed to be there. Well, that's exactly what it is. There are rubber collars that go on the bottom and top of the starter, and I guess they do the job of vibration isolation. So I'm gonna have to check the boat tomorrow during the daylight hours and see if I can't see if they're in the bottom of the boat somewhere. Just want to double check before I order them, because chances are that even if I find them, they're dry rotted and I'll have to order them. But they're anywhere from like $4 to $6 a piece online, plus the shipping. So it could end up costing me, 18 or 20 bucks for these two stupid rubber pieces that I can, if I've got the other ones and I can at least install them just temporarily right now, I'd like to do that. So I guess that's it for tonight.